Good evening, everyone. It's really an honor and a pleasure and a zechus to have with us the Rosh Yeshiva this evening. We're sitting in Tarzana, California. We're far, far, far away from Maimon Har Sinai. Far away. And my dear friend and mentor, Rabbi Gavitsky, does everything that he possibly can to continue to bring us the sparks of Har Sinai to our Kehillah over here in Makar Chaim. So no one came to hear me. We came to hear the words of Torah from Har Sinai itself. It's really an honor, a pleasure, and a kavod for all of us to welcome the Rosh Yeshiva.
I saw the subject matter of what I was speaking about was how each year, each soul connects to Torah. In other words, that everyone has to have his or her own unique connection to Torah and be involved and connected to Torah. And it was deemed that this belongs in Yerushalayim. So let's try to figure out the kavanah of the Rav. Well, actually, we find almost a contradictory attitude in halacha. It's actually almost halacha to how we relate to the days, to the time of Yerushalayim. On one hand, we know that Yerushalayim is a time where we don't shave, we don't hear music, we're noig certain minhagi avelus. Ad kedei minhagi avelus. It's even brought in halacha, and the Torah brings that minhag shel lasis melacha. We don't do any melacha. Pesach varatzeres, mishkias achamo ad shachris, from nightfall until the morning. Mishum tamid Rabbi Akiva shemeis, tamid Rabbi Akiva died. Every day, somuch l'shkias achamo, v'nikveru, and they were buried achas shkias achamo. V'ya'am b'teilem mimlocha akar gold shalalas simcha b'intayim. And specifically, similarly like Rosh Chodesh, so here, the only other event that leaves an avelus for in Klal Yisrael until Bias Goyal HaTzedek is Tisha B'Av itself, and we have other fast days. But no fast day contains in it any element of avedus, of mourning. There's no mourning. We know every morning that we have, we mourn. It's limited. There's Shiva, Shloshim, Beis Chodesh, Zeresh Nishtachach, except for Tisha B'Av. That it's not even an available. The only reason we carry on, we mourn, because it's a living avelus. It's not because we lost the Beis Hamikdash then. It's because what we lost then we don't have now, and we are now missing that. We're in mourning of that, of the lack of the Mikdash and everything that. And that relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom that was taken away, we were left mourning. But the only other one besides that is Yerushalayim. The only other that is, and it begins. The Gemara tells us it's the way it began. The way it began was when the Talmidim, the Chov Daled Elef Talmidim Rabbi Akiva, 24,000 Talmidei Rabbi Akiva. They all died with Pesach ad Atzeres. They died. In this time they died. The Misu was in this period. And when that happened, the Gemara says, Vaya Olam Shomim. The world was a shmom. There was the point when Torah Chas v'Shalom was lost from Klal Yisrael. Torah was lost. No, with that we have Lei Shochach M'Pizavi was then at a risk of being lost. Torah being lost. No, there was then. Kiva was the one who, because of him, Torah was going to continue to Klal Yisrael in the way that it will lead us to redemption. The Torah will be the Torah, even after the Kiva was the one who we know who saw in Churban, in the destruction, the seeds of redemption, the seeds of the Gula. Like the Gemara tells us, Kiva always saw what we call to say, he always saw the bigger picture. He always saw how the low point of Churban is the springing board to bring us to the Gula, to bring us to the Gemara tells us, Kiva, when he saw the Shualim, the foxes, running in Harabayis, which is a puzzle, Shualim Polchubah. And when all the other Chacham, the sages who were with him, brought him to terrible sorrow and pain to see the kid. He was laughing with Tzachik. He said, if this Nevuah was Mekuyim, then the Nevuah of the Gula will also be Mekuyim. No, there's a process. We don't see anything. We don't look at the whatever we were in is the Golus, the exile of Klal Yisrael in every spiritual, physical. There's this spiritual, which is the core of our Golus, is a stepping stone which we have to utilize to bring to Gula. And he was the one who within those years, those 24 years, he created 24,000 Talmidim, they were the ones who, by bringing Torah back to Klal Yisrael, they were the ones who were going to reverse what the Golus which came al Ozvam Terosi, that Klal Yisrael left the Torah. They were there. He created the nucleus, and that will bring back Torah to Klal Yisrael. The loss of those 24,000 Talmidim is really made the Golus we're in a Golus that we're not out of yet. That's what happened there. It's and we're still suffering for that Avelus. This Rabbi Kiva saw it, that it's a process that's immediately reversible. To bring us back. And he took 24,000 Talmidim, and they were the future of Torah in all of Klal Yisrael. So we have this Avelus, but this Avelus relates in particular to Yemei Asfira. It happened in Yemei Asfira, and it relates to Yemei Asfira. We know, as the Rav always says, Dvorim Gedolim Einam B'Mikra. It doesn't happen by chance. It just happened to have happened. It just happened to be. It also happened to be that it came out at the same time. So obviously this was those days that the purpose of the redemption of Klal Yisrael, Yitzias Mitzrayim, which is the ultimate redemption of Klal Yisrael, is really with all its meaning as being the basis of everything we have, but its full meaning is It's the road to Maimer HaSinai. No, it's the roadmap that Maimer HaSinai begins. Its inception is Yetzias Mitzrayim itself, and the sphere takes us from there to Maimer HaSinai. And this was predestined when the Rebbeinu Shalom sent Moshe Rabbeinu on his original mission. It says, the pasuk says, this is what the reason for the redemption, the purpose of the redemption, and the fact and the meaningfulness of the redemption. And here, at this time, which the Rabbi Akiva, the Metzachik, the one who saw that we're in the process of Gula, and he saw it not just that his Metzachik was because he had a plan of action. He was actually doing it. He was Ma'imit Chov Dal Elov Talmidim. There was 24,000 Talmidim. And when that was reversed, it was reversed. So this was the setback of the Gula. But one thing we think we're living with a setback. So I mean, it's like Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av also naturally has to bring us to being mitzapim, Yeshua, and to Gula. But yet over here, we find just as soon as the Torah finishes telling us that we don't do malacha, we don't because we're like Avelim, and therefore an oval is also a malacha, and he's chayv bebitul malacha. He goes, there's another reason why we don't do malacha. There's another reason why we don't do malacha. Because seifrim v'oimer achashkiyas achama v'ksiv. And it says, the pasuk says, Sheva Shabbosos Tmimis Tiyena. It says, the pasuk, the wording of the pasuk is, it should be with 7 weeks. So the Torah calls those weeks Sheva Shabbosos. Seven times Shabbos. Shabbosos. Miloshin Shvois. Just like the word Shabbos means, in Hebrew, the word Shabbos means to cease, to stop doing malacha, to cease from our mundane daily activity, and that's Shabbos. We are Shabbos Hashem. We're shavis from everything else. We cease doing everything else, and therefore we elevate ourselves to a different level, of involvement and of being, not just involvement. So here it says Sheva Shabbosis Tmimes Tiyena, Loshin Shmita Sheva Shabbosis. Just like Shemitah is like a Shabbos. Every Shemitah, Sheva Shabbos is Hashon. It's like Shabbos. And the Torah says, V'ksiv usfarta l'cho Sheva Shabbosis Shonim. Shiva Shavuos Tispulcho. So he says, so the Torah goes on to say, so just like over there, it's the Shemitahs are Shabbos, and ultimately after you have the final Shabbos, which is so he says, so too over here, V'ksiv Sheva Shavuos Tispulcho. He says, here's another interesting point. He says, Sheva Shavuos Tispulcho. Should count 7 weeks. Mikan shasfiro bebezdin. That bezdin has to count, which is really the words of the Sefri that says that Sheva Shavuos Tispulcho, besides the mitzvah on each individual to count, there's a special mitzvah on bezdin to count, which is something we have which is brought in Sefri, which the Torah mentions here in context of making Sfira into a Shabbos, but has no other source in halacha. No, and there's no other halacha about it. There's anywhere in halacha that it tells us that that Bezdin has to count. The Bezdin doesn't count by the counting of the years leading up to Yovel. Do you think halacha that Bezdin counts? There are passages that Bezdin counts. Bezdin counts the Bezdin counts the years. שהספירה בבזדן, משנס השמיטה also במלוכה, אף זמן ספירה סועים. Just like Shemitah is also במלוכה, and ultimately Shemitah is also במלוכה, like Shabbos is also במלוכה, אף ספירה סועים. דהיינו לאחר שקיע סחמה also במלוכה. So if we'll try to understand the meaning of this other reason why not to do malacha, it seems to be the reason is because the festive days, the days of Shabbos, the days that we look upon each day as being part of a Shabbos. I mean, it's interesting. In Shemitah it's only every seventh year. Here it says each day, each night. And Mikansha Sfira beBezdin, which that Bezdin counting. We said, what is Bezdin? Actually, the meaning of Bezdin counting means that just like all Yom Tovim, all besides for Shabbos itself, all the Yom we have, that also says Shvisa by them, are determined by Bezdin, because the determination of what makes every Yom Tov is the date, the calendar date, as opposed to Shabbos. That's not a calendar date. This is a calendar date. Our calendar, which is made by Bezdin. We're not just talking about not only the time when every month the Bezdin accepted Adam and witnesses came and it was determined when the month would begin, and it could be this day, the next day, depending on when they received the Adam. But even now that we work the calendar, our calendar is only valid because the Bezdin accepted this calendar and made this the calendar. The Bezdin of Hillel and Nasir, the latest Bezdin in Klal Yisrael before that existed in the time of the Meroy. They gave us this calendar. They made this the permanent calendar. It's Bezdin. Bezdin makes the calendar, and on that calendar, and whatever's determined, whatever by Bezdin, that is the date. In other words, even if it comes out that if we go with the actual lunar month, there's a mistake, that is the date, because they make the date. But when they make the date, it doesn't say Elu Moedei Hashem Asher Tikhu Oisam B'Moedam. The making the date is direct creating the Yom Tovim of Klal Yisrael. Bezdin makes the Yom Tovim by telling us what was Chodesh. Asher Tikhu Oisam B'Moedam. They make the Yom Tovim. If Bezdin wouldn't make Yom Tovim, we wouldn't have Yom Tovim. Rambam says there wouldn't be a Yom Tov. So it says the Sfira is beBezdin. Bezdin does the counting. It doesn't mean they have to do a physical counting, but it means that there is the Kriyas HaMoed. It's first of all Shavuos. Shavuos is not based on a calendar date, as we all know. It's based. Today it comes out the same date every year because the months are. Year has this amount of days. This has this amount of days. So it always works out the same. But actually, it comes from 50 days after Pesach. It's we count 49 days after Pesach, and the 50th day is Shavuos. But still, Shavuos, it says here that it is a sphere of a Bezdin. Those Bezdin is the one who makes the Kfiyas HaMayit. It's the Kfiyas HaMayit by setting up when Pesach is. It's called the Kfiyas HaMayit of Shavuos. But he says a further step. There's a Kfiyas HaMayit of Bezdin every day of Sfiras Ha'omer. Every day is Sfiras Ha'omer. This is the first day of Sfira, the second day, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the week, the 2 weeks, the 3 weeks. No, there's a Sfira of a Bezdin, and it's a time of Yontif. It's a time of Shvisa. It's a time we don't do Melacha because there's Mikvah as a Yom Shvisa. By what? By the Sfira of a Bezdin. There's a Sfira of a Bezdin, therefore, no, it's a Yontif. It's in a sense, there's a level of Yontif in every day of Sfira, which we celebrate by, like Shabbos, by ceasing to be involved in other things, and we're focused on what we're doing in the Sfira Ha'omer. We're focused on that, on the Shabbos Lashem. And the Shabbos Lashem. So here it's days of elevation, days of Yontif, and like Chazal say, the Chazal didn't get Yom Tov. Lasik b'Torah knows to be. We're not involved in our daily activities. We're involved in our relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's a different. We're not living our daily routine, our daily needs, but we're focused on with somewhere else. That's why we're not involved in our activities, daily activities. Every day of Sfira is a Yontif. Every day of Sfira is a Yontif. It's a Yontif. We have to make it into a Yontif. So we have every day of Sfira is a day of Avelos. And they died at the time of Sfira. At the time of Sfira. And every day has to be a day of Yontif. This contradictions. These are two reasons that are contradictory, but we have to live with them both and simultaneously. And let's explain. It says that the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, they passed away because they didn't have respect for each other. They didn't respect each other. They didn't teach. They didn't treat each other with respect. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, we're not. I mean, there's the Bir Adon Chaveri of Leinogu, but it doesn't say they didn't treat each other the way covered. The word covered is not Umuchuyev in V'hafta L'mecha Kamaycha. There's no direct mitzvah in the Torah of giving covet. So we have to love our fellow Jew, and out of love we have to be able to do everything we can for him, help him with all his needs. But the place of covet is which. The place of covered, we're mechuyev in covered. Parent, a rebbe, people. Covered is for someone who has something unique and special, who has to speak. And my relationship to him is one of I look up to him. The idea of even we have covered abrius. That's not that's. Covered habrius. Covered is the idea of covered habrius is that I can be there because he has something. Everyone is a tzelem elokim, and he has a mila that he is to Yibban Shalom saw something unique in him, Ein Parzufeim Shov. Each person is unique and separate from himself, is a special person. And being a special person, being something special, that I look up to him. I look up to him. I respect him. I have to look up to him. And not just I love him. I respect him because of his uniqueness. The ultimate uniqueness of a person is that each one's a Tzelem Elokim, is because each one has a specific role in bringing out what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us. We're bringing out the Kavod Shamayim, the Kavod Shamayim in this world. Each person is something unique. The place where each person's his relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom is determined by Torah. In other words, we have I have a relationship, and besides that, I sit and learn Torah. No. The only vehicle that Rebbeinu Shalom gave us to relate to him is the Torah he gave us. The Torah, which is a way of expressing how by giving us the mitzvahs, the Rebbeinu Shalom is relating to us, by us being Mekayim the mitzvahs, or by us understanding what the Rebbeinu Shalom is telling us. He's telling us how we belong to him. So the Tzelem Elokim, that it's meaningful, that the covet is because it's a vehicle of expressing Divrei Torah. That's where it is. That's why the ultimate covet, the ultimate where we unify the concept of the covet for a person with covet Torah, that we respect the person for something that he accomplished, and we say that's respect for him. That's him. It's covet Torah. Covet Torah is covered for the Talmud Chacham, because a Torah that a person acquires is not something that, this is who I am, and I also happen to know a lot of things. But the Talmud Chacham, since he himself determines the Torah, he understands the Torah, he lives the Torah, it's Gufei Torah. There's greater place of respect for the Talmud Chacham than there is for Sefer Torah. So the ultimate Nagu Kavod Zebazeh, the Nagu Kavod Zebazeh that the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva didn't have, was Rabbi Akiva, the level of Torah, Rabbi Akiva himself, who stood like Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi Akiva himself. In order to spread it in Klal Yisrael, we had to be able to. What he did was he created multitudes of Talmidim, 24,000 Talmidim. Each one of them had a unique ability in Divrei Torah, and was unique and expressed something in Torah, his point in Torah. Chav Daled Elf, that's a number that occurs many times through the history of Klal Yisrael. But those Chav Daled Elf Talmidim, each one had his unique role in Torah, because each one had his unique, particular person. He was his Adam Yechid. So the pshat is, how does Klal Yisrael, how does all of Klal Yisrael have the Torah? The Torah is Torah Achas. Don't say, I have my part in the Torah. I have my understanding. This is what I do. And the rest of it, that's not for me. A person, either he has everything or he has nothing. The Torah is one, and a person has to have all of it and be connected to all of it. And every part expresses all of it. It's just like the marshal, like in a person, every part of the person is the person himself. That every particular, the whole DNA that makes the person is in every particular part of the person, has the whole DNA, the whole thing in it. It expresses, it's the whole person is in every part of the person. And every person, so there is no, so how do we, and every time when Klal Yisrael receives Torah, it was always ki ish echad b'leiv echad. They were all together. Vayichan tachas ahar ki ish echad b'leiv echad. We were there as one. Then Klal Yisrael was able to unite to the Madreg that they all received the whole Torah. They received in Maimer HaSinai. Moshe Rabbeinu received it. Was meant Klal Yisrael were able to, as one, to receive the whole Torah together. They united as a people, and they united in the receiving of Torah, and each one had the whole Torah. But here, this was Golus. This was Shualim Holchuba. Shualim Holchuba. So what happens over here? So Rabbi Kiva took and gave each one of his 24,000 Talmidim was one particular ability in Torah. But to make that into a Kabbalah Torah, it needed an understanding that every person has his unique chelik in Torah, every other person, and by being mechaber him is the recognition of his Talmud Chacham, his Torah, what he has, and therefore my relating to what he has that I don't have is with covet, and that covet brings the covet Torah brings the Torah together and makes it into one. Makes it into one that this together, these 24,000 Talmidim could spread Torah in all of Klal Yisrael. And instead of being the Olam Shomim, the desolate world that was lost, that was horrible, that's what could happen. That has to happen. That was the loss of that was in the days of Sfira, in the Yemei HaSfira. Why the Yemei HaSfira? The Yemei HaSfira has two components. We count day by day, and then with the counting, we count the weeks that are called Shabbosim, that are called Shabsos. We count every day. Every day. And not only we count every day, every person counts every day. Every person counts every day. Kol yochid v'yochid. Usually, the countdown of the Yemei HaSfira, that's like the countdown of time. We count down from Pesach to Kabbalah Torah. It's a countdown. It's something that belongs in the public domain. It belongs in the public domain to create that, to get the truth. It's something that belongs in a public domain. It's not something private. That each one. Yom Tov is not. Each one makes his own Yom Tov. The way he counts, it'll have his Yom Tov, right? The countdown belongs in the public domain. The truth is, the idea of the countdown is the idea of the counting, the anticipation, the looking forward to it. The taking each day as a stepping stone is really taking each particular particle for itself, and seeing how each part of a person, and saying how that belongs to Matan Torah, how that belongs to the person that I'm supposed to be, the person, what we are meant to be, how that becomes part of that ish echad b'leiv echad, how to prepare that part of me to be part of that ish echad b'leiv echad, the one man, one heart, that's makabel Torah. That in other words, if every part is not going to be part of the system, is not going to play its role, then we'll never put it together. So the word is, so there's a sphera, l'kol echad ve'echad, every day, every person. Every day, every person. But the everyday, every person is not saying, to say every day, this is, people say, this is me, I am this. No. I am counting total. So this is a sphere. I'm this part, everything about me, and everything about every part of this the time is how does it fit in to greater picture. How is it? What should it be? How should I? What am I? What should I be? And its real meaning is to be part of a bigger picture, to be how that is. And when it's a bigger picture, it's everyone is yichidi, every number is for itself, but it creates a cohesive whole from all the parts. And that cohesive whole is the shvuos, sheva shabbosos. We create the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva, who are those that were supposed to take all those the sphira, that preparation for Klal Yisrael having Torah, by taking every part of Torah, everyone with each particular part that he had, and making it and realizing that the part is part of the greater picture. Nogu koved zebazeh. This what I have is something greater than me, more than I have. And with covered we combine, and it become, and the Kveda Shel Torah is realized. When they lost that, this was not utilizing what Sfiras Hayim was meant to be. This is exactly what they didn't accomplish with Nogu Koved Zebazeh. So therefore, they want those to rebuild the Torah. But on the other hand, the Sfiras Hayim continues. The Sfiras Hayim, we have Sfiras Hayim, but we have the counting. What symbolizes us, more than symbolizes, what brings out the idea that every little part creates a greater picture. And every person has to see himself part of something greater than himself. And part of, and he's part of that. That's the concept of turning days into, we call it a week, but turning days into a Shabbos. Shabbos is that 7 day. We call the week Shabbosos. Shabbos is 1 day of the week. Shabbos is the 7th day, 1 day. It's a Shabbos. We call them Sheva Shabbosos. Shabbos is, the answer is that Shabbos is what gives cohesiveness to the whole week. The meaningfulness of the week is that it's the whole Seder of life has meaningfulness is because it leads to a Shabbos. It leads to a meaning that's not in the daily labor. The daily labor itself transforms itself to have a different meaning through the Shabbos. And all we do is to bring out that Shabbos. Like the Gemara says, we Zochas Yom Shabbos every day. Everything is Lakewood Shabbos. Everything is for Shabbos. Everything is, and when everything is for Shabbos, it's not just that Shabbos is at the end of the week. In other words, the whole week is the week of Shabbos. That's the week. The whole week. And if a person lives everything focused on the purpose on that Shabbos Hashem, so every day is part of Shabbos. Chazal tell us that a Talmud Chacham who lives in his relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom, he's Shabbos. The Pearl Chacham himself is Shabbos. Every day is Shabbos. That's when. And the Yemei Sfira is a time to take the individual, the particle, the little part, and making everything part of a greater picture, making everything into Shabbos. It's Sheva Shabbosos Tmimos. It's 7 weeks of Shabbosim. It's full 7 weeks of Shabbosim. It's making a life of Shabbos, a life that every particular is focused on its greater meaning and how it's part of the greater meaning. And when we accomplish that, we have all the Shavuos. We have the Chag HaShavuos, the Chag of the Sheva Shabbosos. And what's the Chag of Sheva Shabbosos? Revelation of what the ultimate meaning is, that every part is part of that surah, that picture of Kabbalah Satorah. That's the Kabbalah Satorah. So every day is a mini yontif. We have to make it, it's either going to be one of two things, a mini yontif, or going to be something that disperses, separates, and brings the world to meaninglessness. It's one or the other. It's here or there. It's if we don't utilize the Yemei Sfira, if a person looks at every introspection and saying, So this is what I am, this is who I am, and this is it. I am what I am, and there's no more to my life than that. That's the loy nagu covered. That's the life of every day for itself. It's not a sphere that turns the sphere into weeks, into Shabbos, into Shabbos, and it brings it together, and it brings out the sphere of the Bezdin, the sphere which we're all united in, which we all. So here it is. This sphere, not in its fullness, not in its meaningfulness. We have to realize without this focus on life, of living with purposefulness and meaningfulness, and looking for where in every point is my relationship to Kadosh Baruch Hu, where's the Divrei Torah in everything, and that Divrei Torah is part of the Shabbos Lashem. If it's not that, then it's a chum. It's not we have a choice to live either a mundane life or another life. We could do this way also. No. The Yemei Sfira tells us that the tzur of Klal Yisrael who lives, who's redeemed, has only one way of functioning: to function as Klal Yisrael. We have no other form of functioning. When Chalila v'chas, we succumb to this, to the wrongs, to look at the sphere as a point of separation, a point of just this. I am what I am, and it is what it is. The Yemei Sfira are the Yemei Chum. We put meaningfulness into every particular, into every point by point. We put meaningfulness into it. We take it as a stepping stone, as part of that greater meaning of Kabbalah Torah. We turn. So every day is a Shabbos. Every day is part of the Shabbos. This is the time of the year that we have to look at every day. Where's the tachlis? Where's the meaning? The meaning we could find. Klal Yisrael is given one way to find the meaning. That's Kabbalah Torah. So here, Kabbalah Torah, the road to Kabbalah Torah is nothing is left behind, nobody is left behind, and there's nothing that's not part of it. That's the tzura, and when we know that and we live that way, the whole way from Pesach to Shavuos is part of one. It's each one is a day of Yontif, like Rabban says, the days of Chalamoy, between Pesach and Shavuos, between the original revelation until the ultimate Tavnas Elokim Hazeh, and the realization that Anoich Hashem Lekecha is meaningful, is the absolute meaning of our lives, which is through Divrei Torah.
I'd like to thank the Rosh Yeshiva very much for the inspiring words. We'll try to celebrate the Shabbos each and every day in the right way.